And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Tuesday, July 9th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So we're going to start off the show, talk about some more comments made by Joe Burrow. This is regarding the Pro Bowl, as well as if the NFL does end up expanding to an 18-game schedule. So we'll get into that. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Then in the second part of the show, I will continue my schedule breakdowns. Today we will be going over the Chargers schedule. So that'll be the second part of the show. In the third part of the show, I will continue discussing contract negotiations regarding Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Then in the fourth part of the show, some comments made by Lions defensive end Aiden Hutchinson on the expectations for the team going into the 2024 season. And then in the final part of the show, just talk about Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers now, and just his comments on his upcoming season, his first season with the Packers. One of the big free agent acquisitions that the Packers made this offseason. So that will be the final part of the show. So let's get into the first topic, which is discussing what Joe Burrow had to say regarding the Pro Bowl, as well as the 18-game schedule that the NFL may eventually go to. So he talked about how, now regarding the Pro Bowl, he did talk about how the Pro Bowl could possibly be, in season. Similar to how, it is in hockey, how it is in baseball, how it is in basketball. Because the Pro Bowl is, that week in between the championship games and the Super Bowl. And this comes with, if the NFL does expand to an 18-game schedule, that could kind of be like, I guess, the second bye week. If they, decided to move the Pro Bowl to within the season. Because the other thing, too, is with the Pro Bowl is a lot of times you don't have all the stars playing in the Pro Bowl. Now, I know the format has changed, but when you got guys like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and, recently now Patrick Mahomes and those guys, partly because a lot of times, Brady and Mahomes are playing in the Super Bowl, but a lot of these guys end up not going to the Pro Bowl because, it's the end of the season and they kind of just want to, take the time off unless they are playing in the Super Bowl, like Tom Brady has a bunch of times, and now Patrick Mahomes has played in the Super Bowl a bunch of times now as well. Not as many times as Brady, but still. Within the season, if you move the Pro Bowl to, during the year, you might see those guys playing in the Pro Bowl now, being involved in those festivities, which I think, makes it better. Now, again, the format has changed. It's not like, the traditional, NFC versus AFC. You play 4 15-minute quarters and, that's it. But it's completely different now. There's skills challenges, and then you got the flag football game, of course. So it is different, but I'm fine with that idea. So this is the other stuff that he said. So that's basically, it would be a uniform second bye week for all teams, because he has talked about this before, Joe Burrow, where if you do expand the season to an extra week, got to give teams more bye weeks. Now, I know I went over, the comments made by Roger Goodell on this topic. I didn't mention the second bye week. But yeah, the second bye week I think is very important because, an extra game, you're going to add more wear and tear on these players throughout the season. Now, there's players that have said if this ends up happening, they obviously want to get paid. As long as they're getting paid for the extra game, there's players that'll do it. But I know there's some players that probably aren't huge fans of it just because, again, I mean, the football season's long enough as it is. Now you're expanding it another week. But I think at least adding another bye week and you move the Pro Bowl to within the season, that's something that I don't have a problem with. I think that would be a good idea because you would be giving every team another bye and gives them extra rest with that additional game. And it would still put the Super Bowl on track to being on President's Day weekend, and that would give fans an off day the following day, which I talked about that as well on a previous show. Now, for me, I probably don't have that off day. Now, if that was during the prime years of, elementary school, middle school, high school, that would be great. Even college, that'd be awesome. But that's not the case. So most likely, if we get that, and the Super Bowl is being played on President's Day weekend, I'm not going to have that off day, but that's okay. So, but I'm definitely on board with this idea. So Burrow proposed Week 13 as the Pro Bowl break, and he said, I guess with the 7-on-7 skills challenges, that he said that this could increase ratings and provide all teams a break before the final stretch of the season, which I do agree with. And Burrow's proposal shows he considers both NFL and player interests, suggesting he could be, this is just an article that I was looking at. It said he could be a future NFL commissioner. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's at least what was in the article that I was looking at. But yeah, I mean, listen, if you have the interest of both, the NFL itself and the players, I mean, yeah, you want to try to compromise, and so both parties are satisfied. But it's something that I think will be a conversation, because that's probably what we're going to end up going towards, is an 18-game schedule. And, only time will tell how that all plays out. But like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I think that's, a good thing that could be beneficial for both sides. Mainly the players, because, again, if you're adding an extra game, you want to, give them extra rest. And I think this year, I mean, you're seeing some wacky schedules, especially late in the season when you have, 4 teams playing on a Saturday and then they're playing on the following Wednesday. That kind of that's a little wacky in my opinion. But, the NFL wants to have games on Christmas. You got games being played on Friday, you got games being played on Wednesday. The only day that doesn't have a game is a Tuesday. So we'll see if, they end up flexing a game on a Tuesday just to say, hey, we got games every day of the week. So, and now the NFL's kind of, conflicting with the college football schedule as well, late in the season. So, yeah, we got a lot of football. I mean, I haven't gone over it, but those final couple of weeks in December, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable, the schedule. When you got the college football playoffs starting, and then, you got the NFL season is about to end. I mean, those last few weeks, it's a lot of football to be consumed, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's only a matter of time before they expand to an 18-game schedule. That's what they want to do. And there's maybe a possibility that they could even go more than that, maybe even the 20 games. Now, that's even further down the line once we get to an 18-game schedule. But it's just something to think about. So, but let me know what you guys think, though, about this proposal by Joe Burrow. He said Week 13 would be around that time for that second bye week. But what's interesting is, would every team have a bye up to that point? Because with this season, there's teams that don't have bye weeks until, I think Week 14. So, I mean, they'll figure it out. I guess maybe bye weeks will be a little bit earlier in the season. I don't know. I don't know what exactly it would be. Again, this is just an idea. This is not something that's getting put into motion just yet. But it is something to think about. Because, let's be honest, when you talk about the Pro Bowl, I mean, even with this new format, I'm not, I got to watch this. I got to pay attention to this. It's just, My favorite version of the Pro Bowl was the regular game, but it was when they did the fantasy drafts. You had, two Hall of Famers draft teams, and then they play against each other. It'd be a mix. It wouldn't just be the traditional NFC, AFC. They did that for, how long did they do that for? They did that for what, 3 years? That was fun. But, then they kind of went back to the traditional NFC versus AFC, and it was, boring. Nobody's really trying. Because players actually did try in those games. But also the Pro Bowl actually meant something because you had home field advantage on the line. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing in baseball too. Because, I mean, me personally, I think the baseball All-Star Game is my personal favorite. But, those All-Star Games meant something when it came to home field advantage. Now it's just, they don't really have, there's not really any stakes. So, but we'll see what ends up happening. I think, again, it's a good idea. If they expand to an 18-game schedule, you get that second bye week. I think you're going to have to do that. But only time will tell. Right? I mean, it's not going to happen this year. Maybe it happens next year. Who knows? But I like Joe Burrow's idea. So let me know what you guys think about it. How do you feel about it? So we're going to take our first break now. And then when we come back, we'll continue our schedule breakdowns. Right now, we're in the last division, last few teams here. We did the Chiefs yesterday. Today, we will be doing the Chargers schedule. So I'll get into their schedule, give you my early thoughts on it, their early win-loss predictions for them. So that is what we will do when we come back from our first break of the show. So stick around. And we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.